Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. It was an honest mistake, but I was stunned that somebody actually remembered. Years ago, I introduced an Easter sermon by talking about first words. What I mean is that the first words someone says after some truly significant event. Neil Armstrong's first words on the moon are known by all of us, for example. I talked about that for a while, and then I moved to talk about the risen Jesus greeting his disciples with the words, "Peace be with you," and what that meant. We will actually talk more about that tomorrow. The next year, I forgot what I had preached the year before and used the same approach to a sermon that year, and someone remembered. It was an honest mistake, but I have to tell you, that kind of remembering doesn't happen often in a preacher's life. I guess the idea of Jesus' words after the resurrection is a theme that continues to fascinate me because I want to return to it this week and next week. It would seem to me that his words after the resurrection hold a special importance and meaning, and we might do well to explore them together. Today we want to start on the day of the resurrection itself and look at something that Jesus said to Mary Magdalene there near the tomb. I hope you are familiar with the story. Mary and the women had gone to the tomb to anoint Jesus' body for burial. While that might seem odd to do this 3 days after Jesus had died, when he had died, there wasn't time to complete the custom before the Sabbath began, and so they had to wait until Sunday morning to do it. They prepared the spices and headed out before sunrise, wondering if they'd be able to find someone to roll the stone away to allow them access into the tomb. Of course, when they got there, the stone was rolled away, not to let Jesus out, but so that they could get in to see that it was empty and that Jesus had risen. They ran to tell the others, and then Mary Magdalene went back to the tomb and stayed there in the garden. She fell into conversation with someone she supposed to be the gardener, and the fact that she doesn't recognize Jesus usually astounds and confounds us. But consider that we don't know how his crucifixion might have changed him. What is certain is that after someone has died, you don't expect them to show up walking around the garden and talking with you. She didn't see that it was Jesus because she had no idea yet that it could be Jesus. Finally, Jesus called her by name, and the sudden realization of who the man was dawned upon her. And that's when Jesus spoke the words, "Do not hold on to me." These words have been understood in different ways over the centuries and have caused some confusion. Some have supposed that there was something about Jesus' newly resurrected body that wasn't to be touched, or that this holy, mystical, risen Jesus was some sort of spirit without fleshly form and couldn't be touched. To be blunt, those ideas are just wrong. Later on, when Jesus appears, he invites his disciples to touch him and even eats food for his all too real body. So, something else is going on. Some have thought that Jesus said, "Don't hold me here," as a way of telling Mary that his resurrection wasn't a small event and that the risen Jesus couldn't and shouldn't be confined to a small gathering of believers in Jerusalem. Jesus could have been saying, "Don't keep me for yourself." Understood this way, Jesus may be saying that his resurrection was meant for the salvation of the whole world. Don't hold me here just with you. Now I am let loose in all the world. This is a powerful statement of grace and victory. There is yet one more, and very likely meaning Jesus' words here contain. You see, when I was in seminary, one of the things they emphasized is that you can't separate Good Friday and Easter. Even though they happen on separate days, they are considered one event. The cross is necessary for the empty tomb. You can't have an empty tomb without the cross. It's not a beginning and an ending like most stories. It's an ending with a new beginning. So one of the things that means is that time isn't understood as a linear progression like we usually understand it. And that shows up here too. For the Gospel of John, Jesus' glorification begins when he is lifted up on the cross, but it will not be complete until he returns to God. John considers Jesus' death, resurrection, and ascension as all one event glorifying Jesus. So when Jesus says, "Don't hold on to me," he's trying to put an event that transcends time into a temporal framework that Mary can understand. That's also why he then spends so much time talking about his ascension. "Don't hold on to me," he says, "because I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go tell my brothers that I am ascending." It's all one event, and we can't stop in the middle and hold on to Jesus now. Jesus ascends to take his place to rule all creation. He is risen and is on his way to be enthroned. Now, if all that talk about time left you a little bit confounded and baffled, maybe that's the other point we need to draw from this. Jesus is larger than our understandings. Far too often we think we have Jesus all understood and wrapped up in a box, and we can't limit God that way. Perhaps when Jesus says, "Don't hold on to me," it's meant for us. Perhaps it's meant to say, "Don't confine me to your own comfortable understandings." It's all deeper and more mysterious and more wonderful than that. Don't hold on to me. Let me free to comfort you, confront you, and save you in ways far beyond your imagining. Perhaps his words are meant to open us up to Jesus being more than we ever thought. And then there's this. The point isn't whether or not we hold on to Jesus. It's the assurance that now the risen Jesus forever holds on to us. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.